with it, Congressman.
Okay, you guys aren't allowed to film in here, though.
At all.
At all.
Okay.
No.
Private corporations operate at least 55 immigration detention facilities in the U.S. This facility in Colorado is accused of lacking oversight and proper medical conditions.
ICE detention isn't really a detention center. It's worse than prison, worse than the county jail. It's just worse.
What worries me right now is that I'm not getting the facts, right? And that's why we made the decision to show up this morning. Many of them have told us that when officials visit, that they clean everything up, they put window dressing on, and the conditions look very different from what they normally look, which is pretty concerning to me. He's coming out. Yeah, I'm just here to visit the facility. Okay. I'm the congressman that represents this district, and there have been concerns about some public health outbreaks and some recent disease outbreaks. So there, from a public safety standpoint, we wanted to do an inspection today.
Everybody has to get cleared first.
When there's a private company that's running a detention center, and I'm not even able to get further than the reception area, that raises concerns for me.
So what just happened? Can you
well, we tried to conduct a visit of the facility, and we were denied access to it, which I think underscores a larger concern about transparency and accountability of these private facilities.
The company at the center of civil suits by detainees and families of those being held is GEO Group, one of the nation's two largest private for-profit prison and detention operators. Rene is a former undocumented detainee held in one of the nearly 600 immigration detention facilities around the country.
The best way to explain it to you would be to give you my experience, personally, what happened to me. I slipped and I hit my face on a toilet. So you can probably tell that I have an indentation in my face right here. Mm-hmm. That's from breaking all of these bones. They literally have me sitting in this chair for over an hour, waiting to be transported to a hospital because it's that serious. She said, "You need surgery. We're going to have you back within a week."
Rene finally went in for surgery nearly 2 months after being injured. His bones had already healed back broken, so doctors had to re-break them in order to operate.
And is your story unique?
It's not unique in the sense of, them not taking care of people. They didn't take care of a lot of people.
I spoke with immigration attorneys Danielle and Bryce about the facility's conditions. They represent detainees at the Aurora GEO detention centers.
There are stories of people that are detained there that are only released when their health deteriorates so badly that they would rather not be responsible for what happens after that.
What I will say is that it's an unconstitutionalized space. And what I mean by that is that while these people are being housed in the custody of and under the authority of the federal government, GEO itself is not really subject to the provisions in the Constitution that we normally think that they are. These people are not in their care, they're jailing them, and people are dying, and people are sick, and people are losing lives and losing family members inside.
If these allegations prove to be true, it wouldn't be the first time GEO Group has been guilty of unconstitutional practices. In 2012, GEO Group lost its contract in Mississippi. The U.S. Department of Justice found detainees at the Walnut Grove Youth Correctional Facility were not receiving constitutionally adequate care, and the facility later closed after additional corruption findings. I met with 2 detainees inside this facility.
I wasn't allowed in with any electronic devices or my recorder, so here I have pages of notes.
But I was able to speak with one of them over the phone.
It has been 2 weeks now that we have been in quarantine, and not one doctor has been sent to this pod to offer medical treatment for the chickenpox.
Sergio was picked up by ICE in April of 2018. He's been held at GEO Group's Aurora facility since then. Fed up by the influx of disease outbreaks and quarantines inside the facility, he and several other detainees held a hunger strike. They wrote letters and pleas about the conditions there.
We have no visits, no deportations. Our courts are all being delayed. We are being exposed to greater medical conditions living like this, including depression, anxiety. We are all in desperate need for help.
Individuals that have legitimate complaints as to the treatment of their family members at the detention center fear reprisals to their loved ones at the detention center if they speak up and are too loud about it.
Despite calls for oversight, this private facility has existed mostly unmonitored. The use of private prisons is part of a larger trend in the U.S. The U.S. government awards them contracts to house detainees. The government pays a stipend based on the size of the facility or the number of detainees being housed there. In the case of GEO Group, it makes nearly $2 billion a year and employs more than 20,000 people. GEO Group has donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to political candidates and conservative groups through its PAC, including President Trump's campaign, even hosting its annual leadership conference at Trump's golf resort. A reported 60-plus senators and representatives still receive financial support from GEO Group. But some would call GEO Group's track record dismal. The company has faced over 30 lawsuits, facing penalties over $5 million since 2000. GEO Group declined our request for an interview and referred us to ICE. ICE did not reply. Private prisons and detention facilities are under increased scrutiny as the harsh conditions within many of these facilities come to light.
In the immigration detention center, they didn't understand what was really taking place. They were being treated like criminals when all they had done is tried to escape being murdered or raped or whatever their situation was in their country. All they were doing was leaving their country to try to make a better life for themselves, and now they're being imprisoned, not detentioned, not put it in a detention center, imprisoned for that.
Were there any big life moments you missed while detained?
Oh, of course. My kids were 3 and 7. You know what I mean? So I missed everything. All because they want a paycheck.
And you mean that in the sense of because they're private facilities?
Yeah, I know that they get a check for me, right? They get a check for me every year. Do they use all of that money on me? Absolutely not.
There are facilities in metro areas like Denver and Aurora all over the country, and I think that those facilities are not getting covered as much as the facilities along the border. What's troubling to me is that we are not hearing the stories of the people who are detained in facilities away from the border.
What do you say to people who might watch this and wonder, what do I even do? What needs to happen? What do you say to them? Sergio, you there?
Yeah. Sorry.
You thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
How are you feeling?
I've been for a year now. I've been working and trying to find solutions. No one's less than anybody. Yeah. Just because I'm undocumented, or there's people in here that are undocumented, doesn't mean that they don't deserve it. They're human rights.